Congressman Jody Arrington joins us right now on Fox 34 News at 9. Congressman, thanks for being here. Let's get to some of the issues that you're talking about now. And despite the president's impeachment, which is well chronicled, you're ending the year on a pretty high note. USMCA has been approved. We avoid a government shutdown with a budget. National Defense Authorization Act invests billions into land, sea, air, and space. What does this all show for bipartisanship in D.C.?
Well, when there's a will, there's a way. You've just, good leaders find a way to do things that will ultimately serve the American people. That's why we were elected. Fortunately, you had a contrast really in the last week of very unproductive exercise in the what I call a sham impeachment process that's going nowhere in the Senate, and it's been worse than a distraction. I think it's a terrible precedent for this country. But to contrast that, we were able to get a newly negotiated trade deal with our largest trading partners in Mexico and Canada. It's going to bring tens of millions, tens of thousands of jobs to this country on top of a already booming economy, and tens of billions of dollars, $2+ billion in the ag economy alone. So it's great for farmers, it's great for manufacturers, for American workers, and it's a big win for the US of A.
Congressman, let's dive a little further into the budget. The NDAA, Congress has approved $3 billion for the B-21 Raider. That next generation stealth bomber will be housed at Dyess Air Force Base. What does that investment mean for our military?
Well, it's tremendous. The B-1 bomber is the largest B-1 bomber base is out of Abilene, Texas, Dyess Air Force Base, and it is one of the crown jewels of our national defense and a huge point of pride for all West Texans. And just like with this recent farm bill, where it was do or die to get cotton back into that safety net, there was a do or die situation to secure the next generation of bomber there at Dyess and in the big country. And we were able to do it. And for the remainder of the 21st century, you're going to have the next gen bomber, the B-21. By the way, it's called the Raider, so it was meant to be here in West Texas, and we're going to continue to fly our freedom fighters out of Dyess in defense of our country and our freedom. So it's a huge, huge win and a blessing.
Yeah, we like anything called Raider. That's exactly right. Hey, this year's budget includes a slew of tax cuts, estimated to be $426 billion in lost revenue over the next decade. It also includes more than $1 billion for barriers on the southern border. Now, you're on the committee, Congressman, in charge of raising revenue. What's your take on this?
My take is we spend way too much money, Kurt. I think the biggest threat to the country's future is our spending, our out-of-control spending. We're at $23 trillion in debt. We've got $1 trillion in annual deficit spending. In less than 10 years, we'll spend more to service the interest on the loans than we will in all of national defense. I mean, it is very dangerous levels. And by the way, the $23 trillion in debt is really the deferred tax on our children and grandchildren. So I'm concerned, look, it's expensive, this government, but we've got to find a way to rein it in or we're going to leave this country worse than we found it. There's certainly some wins in there, like the tax cuts you mentioned, $350 billion in tax cuts, health insurance tax, Cadillac tax, medical device tax. That's good for an already growing economy, to keep it growing and to keep creating new jobs. We already have 1 million jobs, more jobs than we have people. So, yeah, there's some wins in there, but overall, I've got to tell you, I'm very concerned about keeping this exceptional and unique country in this republic with the way we're spending and the mountainous debt that we're in. So that's something that I hope we can change going forward. It's certainly a drumbeat that I'm beating every year, day in and day out.
Let's talk about USMCA, a huge sticking point for our region. We know what it's projected to do. When do you think we'll expect to see results from the USMCA?
Well, I think the markets have already responded because of the certainty. It's going to pass the Senate. It's going to be ratified. They were waiting on whether or not Pelosi would let her moderate Democrats get a win. I'm glad she did because it's good for our country. I think that the USMCA, coupled with the Phase 1 agreement with China, which will double the purchasing of American products, ag products, that China purchases, I think those two together is a huge impact. But there's a little bit of a tail and a lag between when we do these things and when they have their positive effect on the ag economy. So these temporary trade relief measures are important that we continue to do that as long as it's needed, use that tariff revenue to smooth out the rough patch till we get to the other side. But more trade, more markets, access to new customers for our products in the US of A is a huge win, and long term it'll give us a greater prospect for prosperity, not just in West Texas, but around the country.
What's your top legislative priority for next year?
Well, I think drug pricing for seniors is out of control, and under the leadership of Speaker Pelosi, we got nothing but a partisan, sort of socialized medicine aspect to pharmaceutical products. We're importing policies from European countries that don't make sense in a free market economy, and long term it will crush innovation. I mean, we are the laboratory of innovation for the world here in the United States. And we've got to be able to balance competition and innovation. We have solutions that are bipartisan to bring the prices down. I've introduced a couple of bipartisan provisions that have passed the House to give more transparency and tools to our seniors to be able to buy the products that make sense for them, whether they're brand names or generics. So we know what to do. We just have to get beyond the hyper-partisanship that we've seen over the last year. That's just one of many things, including rural health, infrastructure, more trade deals, now that we have a template to go out and do more deals around the globe, especially with Britain as they exit the European Union. I see a great opportunity to ship American products and ag products from West Texas to Great Britain as a result.
Jody, it's an honor to have you in our studios. We want to wish you a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to you and your family. Good to have you home for a few days, and we look forward to a very productive 2020.
Always great to be with you, Kurt. Merry Christmas, and God bless West Texas, and hopefully we'll see you soon.